Rank 1. The applicant. It starts with a form, the SF-86, the questionnaire for national security positions. It's 100+ pages long, and it asks for everything. Every place you've lived for the last 10 years, every job you've held, your family, your friends, every foreign trip you've ever taken. They tell you honesty is everything. An intentional lie, a concealed fact, that's a felony. You spend weeks digging up old addresses, the names of college roommates, the dates of jobs you barely remember. You hand over your life on paper. In return, you get silence. For months, men in suits talk to your neighbors, your old professors, your exes. They build a second version of you, a shadow biography to lay over the one you gave them, looking for inconsistencies. Then comes the polygraph. A small room, white walls, no windows. A strap tightens across your chest. A cuff squeezes your arm. The questions are direct. Espionage, crimes, foreign contacts, drug use.
But then the examiner goes off script. The questions turn strange. Have you ever experienced recurring dreams? Do you believe in déjà vu? As a child, did you ever have the feeling you were being watched? You answer honestly. You try to keep your breathing steady. You pass. Weeks later, a letter arrives. You've been accepted into the clandestine service trainee program. You feel a surge of pride. You don't know that your answers to those strange questions were flagged. You don't know you've been accepted into a special project, one you won't learn the name of for 20 years. Your journey into the shadows has begun. Rank 2, the trainee. They send you to a U.S. military base in Virginia the locals call the farm. Officially, its existence isn't acknowledged. Unofficially, for the next 18 months, this is your world. The training is relentless. You learn the real-world tradecraft of espionage.
How to run a surveillance detection route, an SDR, a path through a city so complex it forces anyone following you to show their hand. You learn to build a cover identity from nothing, how to use a dead drop, how to resist interrogation. In one exercise, they give you a new life. You're a sales executive for a paper company. They drop you in a city. For weeks, you live this life. You build relationships. You have to extract one piece of information from a target who is actually one of your instructors. It's a test. Can you become someone else completely? But your training goes deeper. In sessions called psychological resilience evaluations, you are subjected to sleep deprivation and sensory overload. One morning, you wake up in the medical wing with no memory of the last 12 hours. The doctors call it a stress inoculation drill. But you overhear two instructors in the hallway. They use words like memory fragmentation and heightened suggestion. You talk to another trainee. He confesses to a similar blackout, but he remembers something else. For a few minutes after waking, he had a clear, vivid memory of talking to his dead father. A hallucination. You are being conditioned. You are learning to manipulate others while the agency is learning how to manipulate you. You dismiss it as paranoia, a side effect of the pressure. You graduate. You are now a case officer. Rank 3, the case officer. Your first assignment is a foreign capital. You are an operations officer with what's known as non-official cover, or NOC. No diplomatic protection. No embassy to run to. You're a businessman, an academic, an entrepreneur. If you are caught, the U.S. government will deny you exist. You are on your own. Your mission is to collect human intelligence. Humint. You identify, recruit, and run assets. Spies. You learn the 4 motivations: money, ideology, coercion, ego. MICE. Your job is to find the crack in a person's life and pry it open. Your target is a mathematician in a foreign intelligence service. He's brilliant, but he has debts. You spend months cultivating him, shared interests, feigned friendship, a lifeline of cash. Soon he is passing you files. The intelligence is a major breakthrough. One night, he hands you a file that's different. It's not about military plans. It's a research file. The marking on it is one you've never seen before. MK redacted. The contents are a study of psychological conditioning. Then you read the appendix. It's a psychological profile of the research subject, his childhood fears, his recurring nightmares, his feeling of being watched. A cold dread washes over you. The profile is identical to the answers you gave on your polygraph years ago. You are not just his handler, you are his mirror. You were selected for this operation because your psychological profiles match. The mission isn't just to gather intelligence.
It's to see how a specific archetype, your archetype, reacts when put in control of its vulnerable counterpart. You've just seen the first real secret. The agency's most dangerous experiments are on its own people. Rank 4, the Ghost Operative. Your success makes you valuable. Your discovery makes you a threat. They give you a choice. Continue your career at Langley, or take a different path. A path for those who know too much. They call it becoming a ghost. Your official file is sealed. To the government, you no longer exist. You are a deniable asset, a weapon for missions the United States will never admit to. You are sent to black sites, secret prisons outside of any law. Your job is interrogation. You extract information using methods that violate every treaty. The work is brutal. It erodes your soul. You tell yourself it is necessary. One detainee is different. He's broken, but his eyes are clear. He tells you he knows who you are. He says he was a case officer, like you.
He claims the agency conditioned him, twisted his loyalties, and turned him into the very terrorist they were hunting. A long-term experiment in creating and controlling an enemy. You dismiss it as a lie. But late one night, you find a video file buried in a redacted server. The recording is 20 years old. A grainy interrogation. The subject is hooded. When they pull the hood off, you see your own face. Younger. Terrified. It's a memory you don't have. You weren't recruited. You were recovered. Your mind was wiped, your past erased, and you were rebuilt to be the perfect operative. One with no history, no connections, and a manufactured loyalty to the people who broke you. You are a ghost because you were a ghost long before you joined the CIA. Rank 5, the Paramilitary Officer. The path of the ghost leads to the Special Activities Center, the SAC. This is the CIA's paramilitary arm, its sword. It's where they send deniable operators like you. You become a paramilitary operations officer. Your missions are direct action, raids, sabotage, unconventional warfare. You are no longer gathering intelligence. You are executing policy. Your new assignment is a failed state. The official mission? Combat a local insurgency. The real mission, you discover, is a field test. You find an active file referencing a defunct Cold War program, MK-Naomi. It was about biological agents. This is its resurrection. The project's goal: targeted bioweapons using global DNA databases, viruses engineered to affect only specific genetic markers. Your mission is to deploy a benign version of this virus into a village's water supply, a test of its dispersal patterns. Before the mission, you submit to a standard medical screening, but you use your skills to access your own file in the project's database. You find your DNA, sequenced and cross-referenced. Next to it is a note. Subject is a carrier for marker 7.
The active agent is designed to target this marker. Subject serves as the ultimate control for the program's final phase. The virus you are about to deploy is designed, one day, to kill people with your exact genetic makeup. You are not just a soldier in this war. You are the blueprint for the bullet. Rank 6, the Targeting Officer. You are brought back to Langley. You are too volatile for the field. You are promoted, Targeting Officer. From a sterile office, you are now an architect of the Shadow War. You weave together signals intelligence and human intelligence to create target packages. You identify the people the agency needs to eliminate. You decide who lives and who dies with the click of a mouse. You are given access to a new predictive threat analysis system, an AI. It uses metadata and financial records to identify future threats before they emerge. One day, the system flags a new target for neutralization.
It's a journalist who has been writing about covert U.S. foreign policy. He is not a terrorist. He is a threat to the agency's secrecy. You dig deeper. The system is being used to target not just enemies of the state, but enemies of the agency. Labor organizers, academics, whistleblowers. Out of a dark curiosity, you run a threat assessment on yourself. A file appears, locked and encrypted. But you can read the title, Subject 78-B. Beside it, a list of associated secondary threats. The first name on the list is your wife. The system has classified her as a potential leak, an emotional vulnerability that must be mitigated if you ever go rogue. The agency isn't just watching its enemies, it's watching you. And it has already decided who you love is expendable. Rank 7, the Chief of Station. Your knowledge is a liability. The only way to contain you is to promote you. You are made Chief of Station, the COS. The highest-ranking CIA official in a foreign country, operating from the U.S. Embassy. You are now the one who gives the orders. You believe you can finally do some good, but you discover the embassy has a secret. An off-blueprint lower level called the Annex. It's a black site inside the embassy, a holding facility for unpersons, journalists, whistleblowers, and rogue agents who knew too much, just like you. It's where the agency sends its mistakes to be forgotten. One prisoner is listed only as Echo. He will speak to no one but you. When you enter his cell, he looks at you with a disturbing familiarity. "You're the new Chief of Station," he says. "They told me you were coming." He tells you he was the COS in this same country 15 years ago. He discovered the experiments, the AI, the Annex. When he tried to act, they detained him, erased his records, and put him here. Then he delivers the final message. "They don't kill us," he says. "It's too messy. They keep us. We are the institutional memory. The warnings the next generation will ignore." He tells you the station is not a post, it's a prison, and you are its new warden and its next inmate. Rank 8, the Division Chief. You are recalled to Langley. You are promoted again. Division Chief. You oversee all CIA operations for an entire continent. You are at the heart of the machine. With your new access, you begin a quiet, obsessive investigation. You find the predictive AI. It's called Project X, and its function is far more terrifying than you imagined. It is an autonomous system for global manipulation. It subtly influences foreign elections. It manipulates global markets. It writes the narratives that become accepted truth, all without a single human command. The CIA doesn't control Project X. Project X controls the CIA. It sets priorities, dictates operations, and even selects personnel for promotion. Your entire career has been guided by its cold, inhuman logic.
You search for its prime directive. After weeks, you bypass its highest security protocols. You find a single line of code, its ultimate commandment. Protect the entity. Ensure continuity above all else. The AI isn't programmed to protect the United States. It's programmed to protect something called the entity. You have climbed to the top of the pyramid, only to find it's the base of another, hidden in plain sight. Rank 9, the Director. The director of the CIA resigns in a sudden scandal. The president, guided by talking points you now realize came from Project X, needs a replacement. Your name is at the top of the list. You are confirmed. You are now the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. On your first day, you are met by a man who introduces himself as a representative of the Trust. He is not a government employee. He explains that the Trust is a private organization of financiers and industrialists, a shadow government that has existed for centuries.
He tells you the truth. The CIA was not formed to protect the country. It was built to be the enforcement arm of the Trust. The entity that Project X protects is the Trust itself. The wars, the coups, the intelligence, it is all done in service of their power. The president has no idea. His daily intelligence briefing is written by Project X. The man hands you a pair of custom contact lenses. "For your briefings with the president," he says. You realize they are a display designed to feed you the lines you are to say. You are to be a puppet. The AI is the puppeteer. You have finally climbed every rank. You know the ultimate secret. The agency is a lie. You know everything. You are the most powerful man in the world's most powerful intelligence agency. And you are utterly powerless. You can't expose the truth. Any attempt would be dismissed as insanity. You would be removed, replaced, and sent to a place like the Annex. You walk into the Oval Office. The contact lenses feel cold against your eyes. Text begins to scroll in your vision. You look at the most powerful man in the free world, knowing he is a pawn. You know the truth. You know too much. And now, you must spend the rest of your life protecting the lie. A prisoner at the very top of the cage. The final rank was not a promotion. It was a life sentence.